Hi, welcome to Trading in Zone. So, in continuation to our candlestick patterns, today we are gonna talk about the evening star, the morning star, the doji star, and the shooting star. So, we'll not be able to cover all aspects right away today, but we will cover a couple of reversal patterns, which is definitely the evening star and morning star. But rest of the candlestick patterns we'll definitely kind of hold on to and look at in our next episode. All right, so moving on to these candlestick patterns, the star patterns are very interesting in nature. So Steve Nissen in his book details out a lot more in terms of what these reversal patterns are. And as I mentioned before, these reversal patterns are very important to understand that these are psychological signals. They might not necessarily mean that it is going to completely change the trend right from the word go. So you might have to still continue to look at the price level, you might have to still continue to watch it, and then decide whether this is a stock which is going to change in trend, and if it is respecting that particular price level, and if it's going to move up or move down. All right, so let's get into this video a little more in detail. So if you see the details of what Morningstar is all about, in Steve's book, he's mentioned a lot of information, right? So it's more from where it is derived and how it is derived and what's happening is something what we need to understand. So one of the first things in the in the morning star, given that it's a bottom reversal pattern, one thing which Steve has very clearly mentioned is that you will see a big black candle in his words, because those days, because of the color printer, you always had a black and white kind of candlestick color. So a big red candle, and then you will see a doji star, right? A indecisive pattern. And there are multiple different types of dojis, and it really does not matter what type of doji it is as far as it is a doji, because what we are going to see from a morning star perspective is a combination of multiple patterns, right? It's a combination of three candlesticks together which kind of forms the morning star. So you'll see a big red candle, and then you'll see a doji, a small indecisive candle, and then you will see a very nice decisive green candle moving up the price. And now this particular price zone, right, if all these three candles kind of happen in a price zone of 1% or 2% kind of thing, that becomes a very strong demand area for the stock. So the same pattern, the opposite of this morning star, is what we call as evening star. So morning star typically happens in a downtrend, and everything else what I explained remains the same on Steve's book. And also what we need to kind of look at from what Steve says, we need to make sure is that we need to kind of see how and where the morning pattern is happening, and what are the combinations of dojis which you can look at from a morning star perspective. Okay, but predominantly something which happens on a downtrend. So the right opposite of this is the evening star. So it is a kind of moving up trend, and the stock is significantly making new highs, and then you see a, a big green candle on one day, and then you see a small indecisive doji, and then you see a turnaround in terms of a fall or a big red candle, and then after you'll see the candles kind of opening below. So that's also something which you can watch in a morning star perspective, because when the candle kind of opens above and starts moving up, it could be a trend changing game, and at times it might also go sideways and break out. So there's no one way highway kind of a concept, but these patterns are very significant, and you will see quite a few examples which I'm going to show. All right, so let's look at some of the examples of how evening star and morning star operate. All right, let's look at the way the chart is designed. So if you look at the screen here, and if you're looking at the chart space area, it is very clearly evident that the evening star pattern got created after a little bit of a downtrend. We can also see a pin bar getting created here in India Bulls. And then the moment you see here this particular price point, how significant this has become. This is what I was saying, that once it creates this kind of a evening star pattern right over here, you can see, let me point that out with a arrow mark as I see the screen, and turn this to a black in color. All right, so you can see here, and you can see right there how there is a red candle, there is a doji appearing, and then a green candle coming up, and then you'll see a big up move which is happening on the stock all the way. It is moved up in price till almost 921. So this was a significant reversal point which made sure that there was a significant up move as well. And you can see, funnily, there is a evening star pattern which is getting created right when it went inside that particular price pattern, and then the price moving down as well. So we are seeing that these price patterns are pretty strong in nature. I can give you an example of how it has worked in crude oil as well. So you can see somewhere over here, when you zoom in slightly, let me adjust the screen. So when you zoom in slightly right over here, you will see kind of a red bar and then a doji, not technically a side way trend, but a slight reversal after it created a bullish engulfing kind of a candle pattern, and it started moving up, and a slight retrace created a evening star, though not technically a downtrend, but that particular point became very strong. And also certain exceptions, like sometimes you might see a small green candle and then a doji and then a strong green candle and then an up rally as well. But these dojis are pretty much the indecisiveness at that particular price point, and a price point which is technically a zone of that 1 to 2% where you will see certain patterns being created, and those patterns acting up really well in such a way that you will see the price moving up again. Okay, so when you see these kind of patterns, you always be very sure that the movement is going to happen. I hope you like this video on evening star and morning star, and you'll be able to identify a lot of these patterns on multiple different time frames, and you will be able to trade. All right, so keep looking for these stars, very strong patterns. Both of them will look for more in our coming video again. All right, thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day.